Let my people go!
Slaves are mine. Their lives are mine. All that they own is mine.
Released in 1956, The Ten Commandments was sold as a sacred Hollywood epic meant to inspire faith and awe. What audiences didn't see was a production driven by obsession, danger, and choices so extreme they nearly broke the people making it. Fact 1.
And you squealing goat!
DeMille treated the film like scripture. Cecil B. DeMille did not see the Ten Commandments as a normal movie. He believed it was his life's mission. At over 70 years old, DeMille returned to the story he considered sacred. His health was already failing during production. Doctors warned him to rest. He ignored them completely. DeMille arrived on set daily, even when he was visibly weak. He demanded absolute discipline from everyone involved. Mistakes were treated as moral failures, not technical ones. He personally approved costumes, camera placement, and crowd movement. Crew members described the set as half film shoot, half sermon. DeMille insisted on silence during religious scenes. Extras were told to behave as if witnessing history. Long hours were non-negotiable. Exhaustion was expected. Faith and filmmaking blurred together. Pressure on set was constant. His obsession shaped every frame of the movie. It also pushed the cast and crew to their limits. Fact 2.
Aaron, stretch out my staff against the waters.
Look! Please, stop the river! Please! The water turns to blood!
Charlton Heston became Moses off camera. Charlton Heston did not approach Moses casually. He treated the role with intense seriousness. Studio executives were initially unsure about him. DeMille personally backed the casting choice. Heston studied biblical texts extensively. He worked on controlling his voice and posture. Authority was built through restraint. He avoided emotional excess deliberately. Heston stayed in character between takes. Crew members noticed his isolation. The beard and costume transformed his presence completely. He avoided modern mannerisms on purpose. Moses was portrayed as burdened, not triumphant. Power came from stillness rather than force. This surprised many viewers. The performance felt timeless. Critics quickly took notice. The role redefined Heston's career. He became permanently associated with biblical epics. Moses stopped feeling like a character and became an image. Fact 3. The set was genuinely dangerous. Filming the Ten Commandments involved real physical risk. Safety standards were minimal by modern rules. Massive sets towered over performers. Heavy equipment moved constantly. Thousands of extras crowded confined spaces. Heat exhaustion was common in desert locations. Costumes trapped body heat. Water was not always readily available. Animals were difficult to control. One mistake could cause serious injury. Emergency procedures were limited. Crew members worked extremely long shifts. Physical fatigue affected performance. Crowd scenes were barely controlled. Real fear appears on screen. Exhaustion was not acting. Comfort was never prioritized. The epic scale increased danger constantly. Real risk became part of the production's reality. That danger unintentionally added realism. Fact 4. The Red Sea was a physical illusion. The parting of the Red Sea shocked audiences worldwide. No computers were used. No animation existed to help. DeMille relied on pure physical effects. Massive water tanks were constructed on set. Thousands of gallons of water were released at once. The water was filmed rushing inward instead of outward. The footage was then reversed. This created the illusion of towering walls of water. Timing had to be exact. One mistake would ruin the shot. Cameras were protected against flooding. Crew members stood by nervously. Equipment was constantly at risk. The sequence took months to perfect. DeMille refused shortcuts. Many viewers believed the effect was real. Some even thought it was divine intervention. The studio kept the technique secret for years. The illusion became legendary. Fact 5.
Why have you come here?
Because Moses will come here.
My son?
No, my son. And that's all that he must know.
Religious advisors had real power. DeMille involved religious authorities heavily. Biblical scholars reviewed the script line by line. Clergy were consulted throughout production. The goal was spiritual legitimacy. Certain scenes were debated intensely. Not all advisors agreed with DeMille's choices. Compromises were often tense. Some moments were dramatized for spectacle. Others were restrained deliberately. DeMille wanted approval without losing control. Religious groups monitored the film closely. Some praised its reverence. Others criticized creative liberties. DeMille accepted the controversy. Marketing emphasized moral importance. The film was promoted as educational. Churches encouraged attendance. Screenings became events. Faith and Hollywood merged unusually closely. The film carried religious weight beyond cinema. Fact 6. Thousands of extras were pushed to the edge. The scale of the production was overwhelming. Thousands of extras were used at once. Crowd scenes stretched across massive sets. Organization was difficult. Communication was limited. Many extras stood for hours without rest. Costumes were heavy and restrictive. Heat intensified exhaustion quickly. Some extras fainted during filming. Medical staff were kept nearby. DeMille demanded realism in reactions. Crowd movement had to feel organic. Panic scenes were not choreographed carefully. Fear on screen was often genuine. Fatigue affected coordination. Long days blurred together. The pressure never eased. Extras were treated as part of the spectacle. Human limits were tested daily. The epic scale came at a human cost. Fact 7.
Sacred water, make pure the flood from which you came.
The plagues were disturbingly real. The 10 plagues were staged with unsettling realism. DeMille avoided stylized fantasy effects. Darkness was created with heavy filters and lighting tricks. The river turning to blood used dyed water and controlled flow. Frogs, insects, and livestock were physically present on set. Animals were difficult to manage. Chaos often broke out between takes. Extras reacted instinctively rather than acting. Screams were rarely rehearsed. Timing depended on practical execution. Some effects failed repeatedly. DeMille demanded they try again. The atmosphere became tense. Crew members felt unease filming the scenes. Religious weight hung over the set. Some extras refused to participate. Fear felt genuine in the chaos. The plagues were meant to disturb, not entertain. DeMille wanted judgment to feel physical. The discomfort was intentional. Fact 8.
In this you shall know that the Lord is...
Superstition took over the set. As filming continued, superstition spread quietly. Crew members whispered about bad luck. Accidents were blamed on divine displeasure. Some believed the subject matter invited punishment. Small incidents gained symbolic meaning. Equipment failures felt ominous. Weather delays were interpreted as signs. DeMille dismissed the talk publicly. Privately, he was cautious. Certain scenes were approached with ceremony. Silence was enforced before filming religious moments. Crew members crossed themselves quietly. Prayers were said off camera. The mood shifted noticeably. Fear mixed with reverence. Logic gave way to ritual. Even skeptics grew uneasy. The line between belief and production blurred. Faith became part of the process. The atmosphere was unlike any other set. Fact 9.
The light of God.
The tablets were treated as sacred objects. The stone tablets were not treated as props. DeMille insisted on reverence. Crew members handled them carefully. They were stored separately from other set pieces. No casual interaction was allowed. Jokes around the tablets were forbidden. Extras were instructed to remain solemn. Charlton Heston approached them respectfully. Camera placement emphasized weight and authority. Lighting was adjusted meticulously. The tablets symbolized divine law on screen. DeMille believed mishandling them was disrespectful. Even off camera, rules applied. The objects carried symbolic power. The seriousness affected performances. Actors slowed their movements instinctively. The tablets anchored the film's tone. Law felt heavy and final. This reverence translated directly to the screen. The audience felt that weight. Fact 10.
I am here.
Put off thy shoes from off thy feet.
The voice of God was carefully engineered. The voice of God was not left to chance. DeMille wanted it to feel overwhelming. Charlton Heston recorded his lines normally. The divine voice was layered afterward. Sound engineers deepened and echoed the audio. Multiple takes were combined. Silence was used before and after each commandment. This made the voice feel unavoidable. DeMille rejected early versions repeatedly. He wanted authority without emotion. The result feels commanding and distant. Audiences described it as chilling. The sound filled theaters completely. The effect was designed to dominate space. It removed any sense of comfort. God's voice became a force rather than a character. This choice reinforced fear over warmth. The commandments feel imposed, not offered. The sound design shaped audience reaction. Reverence mixed with intimidation. The moment became unforgettable. Fact 11.
This will change your image.
DeMille collapsed during production. Cecil B. DeMille's health deteriorated rapidly during filming. He suffered from exhaustion. Long days took a visible toll. Crew members noticed his decline. DeMille refused to step back. One day he collapsed on set. Filming stopped immediately. Medical staff intervened quickly. Doctors warned him to quit. DeMille ignored their advice. He returned to set after resting briefly. His authority never weakened. Assistants were instructed to follow his vision exactly. He directed from a chair when necessary. The collapse became a turning point. Tension increased across the production. Crew feared losing their leader. DeMille pushed harder afterward. The film became a race against his health. Every scene felt urgent. Completion felt like survival. Fact 12. The film carried a hidden political message. The Ten Commandments was released during the Cold War. DeMille was deeply anti-communist. He believed the story carried modern relevance. Freedom versus tyranny was emphasized deliberately. Pharaoh was framed as absolute power. Moses represented moral law above government. DeMille saw parallels to contemporary politics. Obedience to God outweighed obedience to the state. This message was subtle but intentional. Dialogue reinforced moral authority. The commandments symbolized fixed truth. DeMille believed society needed them. Audiences may not have noticed consciously, but the themes resonated deeply. Authority was questioned indirectly. Liberty was framed as divine right. The film spoke to modern fear. Religion became political symbolism. Faith was positioned as resistance. This subtext shaped the film's impact. Fact 13. The film dominated the box office. When the Ten Commandments was released, it became an immediate phenomenon. Lines wrapped around theaters for weeks. Audiences treated it like an event, not a movie. Many returned multiple times. Roadshow screenings sold premium tickets. Intermissions were built into the experience. The runtime felt monumental. Families planned entire evenings around it. The film played for months in some cities. Churches organized group viewings. Schools recommended attendance. The spectacle drew believers and skeptics alike. Visual scale overwhelmed audiences. Nothing comparable existed at the time. Critics debated its seriousness. Financial success ended the debate. It became one of the highest-grossing films ever made. Studios took notice immediately. Epic filmmaking was validated. Bigger now meant better in Hollywood. The industry shifted toward spectacle. Fact 14. DeMille treated the premiere like a ceremony. The premiere was handled with unusual gravity. DeMille insisted on formality. Attendees were expected to dress conservatively. Publicity avoided humor entirely. The event was framed as reverent. Speeches emphasized moral importance. DeMille spoke directly to the audience. He warned against forgetting the commandments. Applause felt restrained. Silence followed key moments. The atmosphere resembled a service more than entertainment. Reporters noticed the seriousness. Hollywood rarely behaved this way. DeMille wanted respect, not excitement. The film was presented as cultural duty. Entertainment came second. Faith came first. This approach confused some critics. Others admired the conviction. The tone reinforced the film's authority. The premiere set the emotional context. Fact 15. The film refused to age gracefully. Modern pacing never mattered to DeMille. He wanted gravity, not speed. Scenes unfold deliberately. Dialogue is formal and slow. Silence is allowed to linger. Modern audiences often find it heavy. DeMille would not have cared. He believed slowness created weight. Time was meant to be felt. Spectacle required patience. The film resists casual viewing. It demands attention and endurance. This frustrates some viewers today. Others find it hypnotic. The pace reinforces inevitability. Law unfolds slowly and permanently. Nothing feels rushed or flexible. The commandments arrive with finality. The film refuses modern shortcuts. Its rhythm remains stubbornly old-fashioned. That refusal preserves its power. Time has not softened its intent. Fact 16. Awards validated the obsession. When awards season arrived, the film dominated attention. The 10 Commandments received multiple Academy Award nominations. The industry took it seriously. Visual effects were widely praised. The scale could not be ignored. Technical achievement became undeniable. DeMille's obsession was suddenly justified. Critics softened their tone. Skeptics reconsidered their judgment. The film won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects. That victory mattered deeply to DeMille. It validated years of risk and strain. Hollywood rewarded ambition. Excess was reframed as vision. The message was clear. Bigger films could earn prestige. Faith-based spectacle had power. Studios began planning their own epics. DeMille's approach became a model. The gamble paid off publicly. Fact 17. This was DeMille's final statement. Cecil B. DeMille never directed another film afterward. The 10 Commandments became his final message. He treated it as a farewell. Every theme he believed in was present. Law, faith, and authority dominated the story. DeMille saw the film as a warning. He believed society was drifting. The commandments were presented as unbreakable truth. Compromise was rejected completely. His voice opens and closes the film. He speaks directly to the audience. The tone is instructional, not entertaining. DeMille wanted to be remembered clearly. This was not subtle filmmaking. It was deliberate and final. His personal beliefs were inseparable from the movie. The film stands as his manifesto. No later work softened this stance. It remains his last word. Hollywood never saw another DeMille like him. Fact 18. The film became a cultural ritual. Over time, the film moved beyond cinema. Television broadcasts turned it into tradition. Families watched it together annually. Religious holidays became associated with it. The movie functioned as ritual viewing. Lines of dialogue became familiar scripture. Scenes were anticipated rather than surprising. Generations shared the experience. The film taught visual language of biblical stories. For many, it replaced imagination. Its imagery became definitive. Moses looked like Heston forever. The Red Sea parted this way in memory. Repetition reinforced authority. The film shaped belief as much as belief shaped it. Cinema and faith merged quietly. Few films achieved this level of permanence. Entertainment became cultural instruction. The film stopped being just a movie. It became a shared reference point. Fact 19. The film refused to offer comfort. Despite its religious subject, the film does not comfort the viewer. God is not portrayed as gentle. Law comes before mercy. Punishment is swift and absolute. Obedience is demanded, not negotiated. Characters are tested relentlessly. Doubt is punished openly. Freedom comes with heavy cost. The commandments feel imposed, not chosen. DeMille wanted fear to accompany faith. Awe replaces warmth throughout the film. Even miracles feel severe. There is little emotional relief. Celebration is brief and restrained. Authority dominates every frame. The tone is uncompromising. Viewers are meant to feel small. The story emphasizes submission over joy. This discomfort was intentional. DeMille believed truth should not be soothing. The weight is the message. Fact 20. Why the film still endures. The Ten Commandments has never truly faded. Its scale still feels intimidating. Modern effects have not replaced its impact. Practical spectacle gives it physical weight. Performances remain iconic. Dialogue carries authority. The film demands patience and attention. It does not adapt to modern tastes. That refusal preserves its power. Viewers approach it differently with age. What once felt epic becomes ideological. What once inspired awe invites reflection. The film matures alongside its audience. It stands as a cultural monument, not because it is easy to watch, but because it is impossible to ignore. DeMille's conviction is embedded in every frame. The film believes in itself completely. That belief gives it endurance. Faith, cinema, and authority remain intertwined, and that is why it still stands.